这些人要么丢失了，要么找不着了，要么被抓了，要么进在监狱里，要么自杀了。而且绝大多数人都有一个共同的死法，叫堕落死。因为那里有一个独裁的政党，叫共产党。海航是代表共产党在西方的一个间谍平台、洗钱平台和对西方政治进行蓝金黄的渗透平台。
1年多已经卖了3500多亿，是全世界数第一号。
Okay, welcome back. Sorry, we had a little bit internet connection issue, so we were offline for just maybe a couple minutes, but now we're good, we're back. So we're going to continue where we left. So we were on, I was asking you a question, Nicole. So do you remember the question still?
Yeah, you asked me who's the concerned party, and I said I think the concerned party probably is people who's above Wang Qishan. I think they probably want to investigate HNA. So and Wang Jian as the white gloves and the representative to Wang Qishan. And so I think maybe he is trying to make a statement about their situation. That's my thought.
Okay, yeah, I think you're very right. That's what I want to say, because although it's using a plural, but I know that this article was written for one person in mind only, and that is she. Because really, Wang Qishan is basically the king already, but in China, but just because he controlled the financial, the money bag of the entire nation, and she's the general secretary, basically his direct boss. So that's the only person Wang needs to making sure that she would not become a barrier for him. So that's why I think the article, the whole thing, as we mentioned in our last previous show, we examined their relationship during those years from 2012 to 2000 all the way to 2018. So it kind of give you a little bit background information in terms of why we say the concerned parties is actually just she and she's loyalties. So on June 14th, the chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference of Hainan Province visited the HNA group and stressed that the future of HNA would be better. Okay, so I think at that time, I don't know whether she has read the interview or not, but most likely, if I would have to guess, I think he probably did, or his loyalties, or his, alliances within the CCP party has already read. That is why on June 14th, they've actually went a visit. They actually met with the HNA group, the senior management, and they had a meeting. And in the meeting, this guy stressed, okay, the future of the HNA would be better. Almost led me to thinking that she has believed what Wang has been trying to tell she via the mouth of Wang Jian in this article, in this interview that was done in April 12th. And then in the same meeting, both Wang Jian and Chen Feng made a positive statement in the meeting. So Wang Jian said that HNA would actively respond to the nation's call and serve the regional development, focus on the main business, okay, and deeply explore the new enterprise plus charity economy model. This is laughable, hey? Because when we talk about enterprise and charity economy model, another name for it is basically stealing the nation's wealth for the kleptocracy. Basically, it's a kleptocracy economic model is enterprise, making all the state-owned enterprise private and then making all the private enterprise become the assets of the kleptocrats, and then disguise it under charity. And that's what he is describing as an economic model. But that's laughable. And then on June 20th, Bohai Financial Investment Holding, a subsidiary of HNA, announced the successful issuance of 1.06 billion yuan Chinese RMB of corporate bonds. So we already know, Nicole, we know that HNA is in deep debts, right? They're so difficult at that time to get out the debt. The debt is already mounting. Like 75% of the company's assets are on I think even more on leveraged based on bank loans, and most of those banks loans are Chinese bank loans, and we know Wang Qishan backing them up, right? So what do you think? Like, why you think at the time, despite they're so heavily leveraged and they still can get the corporate bonds issued? What does that mean at that time, June 20th, Nicole? What's your speculation?
Okay, my guess would be, so examining, and probably she read this statement, and so he kind of like, he's not that suspicious, so then he will let the cash, the big amount of the cash coming to the HNA once again. So just pulling into more cash into HNA. Am I right? I don't know.
I think they're allowing them to issue corporate bonds. That means allowing them to borrow more from whoever purchasing the bonds. And I don't know who is purchasing the bonds. It could be organization using Lao Baixing's money, deplorables money. It could be the private person purchasing it, but I highly doubt it. So I think you're probably right. I think the she is disalarmed, at least. Let's say it. I think down to the bottom, I think he is still suspicious, because later on a lot of things happened after 2018 and until 2021, right? We already see the things coming out. These two are no longer alliance. They basically they didn't openly against each other, but they pretty much was tug of war. We're already sensing that's happening at the background, at the back door. But at that moment in 2018, June 20th, I felt that she was satisfied with the answer, with the interview, with the answer that gave by Wang Jian and his explanation. So he kind of close one eye and say, yeah, go ahead. And the Bohai Financial Investment Holding is actually a very familiar name, I think, for American audiences. If you think about Hunter Biden, Bohai is a very familiar name with it. We were not going to too deep about Hunter Biden's involvement with the Chinese, with the Bohai Harvest Fund, which is, they're all related. Let's put that way. They're related here. And we will touch maybe later on in the show when we talk about corruption and when we talk about the harmful thing that the kleptocracy, the whole world, and why the world needs to pay attention to the death of Wang Jian and to HNA, because no one is spared at the end. So let's move on now, but just register the Bohai Financial Investment here for you. So let's get down to the meat of this episode. So that's my next slide. And the slide was one question. What did Wang Jian do a week prior to his death? Okay, so this is very important to know what he has done. And this would actually create a lot more questions than answers. So when you're watching this episode, we will not give you the answers because we don't even know the full picture, not even Miles later on with various investigations we have collecting a lot of evidence that nobody dreamed to have. We will explain to you in the next episode where we get those evidence and what did those evidence told us. But what are the things we cannot definitively say, because there are still a lot of 5 key points that has to be checked out before we actually make a definitive conclusion. But we have our series, and we will share that with you in our future episode. But in this episode, we will talk about what did Wang Jian do a week prior to his death. So let's flip over to the next slide, slides number 4. where is my, okay, right here. So that leads to the December 14th, 2019 Miles live stream on YouTube. So we're jumping a little bit, we're jumping back and forth with Miles's different live stream, different dates. The reason why is because we're trying to tell your story in a way that you feel like you can follow. So we kind of organized and synthesized some of the information for you, just for easy digestions of yours. So so on December 14th, this is what Miles told the world through his investigations. So Miles discovered that Wang Jian transferred a large number of assets to his wife's brother, Wang Wei. And his wife's brother is a partner of Macau gambling king called, I don't know, Lu Chi Wu. Maybe it's a way of spelling, Cantonese spelling. Do you know his Chinese name, Nicole?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. It's like Wang Luzhi.
Okay, Wang Luzhi, that's a Chinese pronunciation. Okay, so close. Yeah, this is probably the Cantonese spelling. So that's the first thing discovered. And second is, Wang Jian took all the valuables from his own office. Okay, like he would never come back again. Okay, so he took all the valuables, cleaned it up, all of them. And then he transferred assets to his girlfriends and made related arrangements. And in Chinese, because when Miles mentioned it, he just say girlfriend, but in Chinese, we don't know whether it's plural, it means one girlfriend, or multiple, so we just put an S in brackets. So maybe it's multiple, maybe it's one, we don't know. And then the first one sent messages, so more than one messages to Peng Lei, Peng Liyuan's brother. Okay, so this is important. This is huge information, and kind of the leads is buried here, but Miles didn't say a lot of things about this guy, but we know who Peng Liyuan is. Nicole, do you want to explain who Peng Liyuan is to our audience?
Okay, so Peng Liyuan is the wife of Xi Jinping, the president of CCP, and then his brother's name is Peng Lei. Yeah, so it's a very close relationship to President Xi then.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is raising a lot of alarms, right? A lot of question marks. So why did Wang Jian send messages, text messages to Xi Jinping's wife's brother, okay, a week before he died? Okay, and then not only sending the messages, but also transfer assets and make related aftercare arrangements. This is kind of strange. Usually aftercare arrangements you will leave to your loved ones, right? You will leave to your wife or kids or someone, right? But he's making aftercare arrangements already. That means, does he know that he's going to die? Right? So, and then he transferred large amount of jadeite. Jadeite is one kind of a jade, but it's very precious because the color is really green. Like, I'm not sure Western audiences, like you're familiar with jade. There's different kind of a jade. They're different kind of a grade and quality, just like a diamond, like you have a different grade. And jadeite is one of them. And then jade, the precious jewelries and monies to friends in the Chinese security department. So Wang Jian transferred large amounts of jadeite and jade and money to friends in security department. And then he also transferred large amounts of jade money to the high-ranking officials of Tianjin province. Why Tianjin province? And transferred a large amount of jade and money to the high-ranking officials of the Central Commission of Discipline Inspection, CCDI. Remember CCDI? Like Wang, prior to 2018, he was the head of the CCDI, but after the 2018, the 19th National Congress, Zhao Leji was appointed by Xi Jinping as the new head of the CCDI, right? So this is 2018, so that time it was a new boss. It was just the new boss coming along, the Zhao Leji. And then, Wang Jian transferred a large amount of money. Okay, so this is strange. So from a person who doesn't know anything, like you do, if you don't know anything about Wang Jian's death, and Nicole, what would you think if I tell you that a week ago before he died, he did all those things? what some of questions you might have?
Okay, I think I definitely agree with you. And the thing is, if I know something is going to happen to me, maybe not death, maybe not dying, but if something is going to happen to me, I probably will move all the money to the closed one or the loved one, and like he transferred to the I think brother-in-law, I suppose, and I will clean my own private space, like he cleaned his office, and I think that makes sense. And then the girlfriends, that makes sense. But I'm thinking about, and he tried to send some information to, because I suppose he has got a close relationship with President Xi's wife's brother. So I'm thinking probably trying to sending some message there, maybe to bribing them, and so President Xi will not do something harsh on him. That's what I'm thinking, because he also sent the move lots of the things to the security department. So I think he can sense, and his safe is in danger. And I think because he's from Tianjin, so maybe he's got a connection with those the leaders in Tianjin. Maybe that's another reason he wants to bribing them, I think. And then the CCDI is where they kind of like inspect people's like properties. So I think probably he also want to seal their mouths with like with kind of like precious things and with money or these kind of things. But I have another question is, I'm thinking, so he's transferring all these his own properties. Is it faster his death in some way? Because it's kind of like you are sending out the signals to different people. It's saying I'm in danger, and in some way you are. But if they don't want to do something to you, would that kind of like you telling people, are you going to check on me? And it's kind of like, I don't know, did I make it clear? Is it this like made people know about his situation and they want to invest it into him, maybe fasten his death? I don't know. So that would be my question.
Yeah, so there's a lot of series out there, but just to normal people, when you see a person is making a preparation right before, a week before his death, you were thinking, you probably making a lot of stories in your mind. And just like me and just like, Nicole, we all have our version of story before Miles told us the theory that he has been forming based on the evidence that he has collected. So we were not going to tell you the answer right now. We're going to, make you come back next show, because we would tell you next show what the significance of all these busy, activities that Wang Jian is doing. What does that mean? And Miles actually did explain some of them, and we will maybe share with you more in our next episode. But here I want to show you one sentence he said during the Chinese Economic Weekly interview, and it's kind of related to the activities he's doing. Let's take a look at the slides number 5. Let's refresh our mind a little bit, because we shared the slides in our last show. So this is April 12, 2018. This is one paragraph that he said it to the reporter. And he admitted to the reporter, he's saying that it's hard to do business, okay? And cannot be doing too well or too poorly. Doing well, someone will come and rob you. Doing poorly, someone will harm you. If people with ulterior motives come to harm you and rob you, do you give or not give? You tell me what to do. Okay, so he was saying that to the reporter in April 12, 2018. So he mentioned about people wanted to harm him, or people wanted to rob him. Okay, and then he said, what do I need to do? So if we flip back to the slides number 4, again, these are the things that disclosed by Miles after his investigation, that within a week time that Wang Jian did. I wanted to know, like, among those things that he's transferring money to, he's sending message to, who are those parties that wanted to rob him? Who are those people that wanted to harm him? Does he have the inks and clue? Why does he do all of those things, just a week before. Of course, sending money to his wife's brother and girlfriend, it's out of love, right? Out of, responsibility, because I wanted to making sure if I die, not all of the things that are donating back to HNA. Of course, his share is completely donated to HNA, but he's a billionaire. He has a lot of other assets, right? He wants to take care of those assets. So, but we're going to leave that question to you, and then we're going to go deep into the investigation team on the scene at the death site, and what did the investigation team actually bring back. So we will show you this in our episode today. So let's go back to slide number 6. Let's just refresh our mind about the death of Wang Jian. So slide number 6, I just wanted to let the audiences know that Wang Jian is an American green card holder. Okay, so, and his wife and son, they both live in Seattle. So they basically, they are American citizens. Okay, those wives and son are American citizens and live in United States, Seattle. Wang Jian burial site is also in Seattle. Okay, and Miles mentioned later on, actually his burial site doesn't even not have his name on. Okay, and later on we will explain why is that. And his burial site was next to a guy named Guo. The last name is also Guo. It's the same last name as Miles Guo. And Miles Guo mentioned about why they did that, why Wang Jian's burial site does not even have his name on. Okay, and then he died in Provence, France, which we will show you the death site, exactly the location. He allegedly jumped. And then he was a chairman of the HNA, a huge international conglomerate that considered, by Mr. Bannon, one of the biggest financial enterprises that is worth around 230 billion in assets at the time. 230 billion in assets. Imagine it. That's an estimated amount, of course. That was reported by multiple medias. And most of the HNA's assets are in the US and Europe. A lot of people don't even know this company. A lot of a Westerner never heard of it. And they didn't even know, how come a Chinese company have all the assets all over the US and Europe? But that's the reality. Through merger and acquisition, they bought out a lot of US and European company, and they are all under the HNA conglomerate, under the umbrella of HNA Group. So that's a little bit of facts about Wang Jian. And now we go to the very first investigation. Miles and his team, he sent 6 teams. Let's go to slide number 7. So July 17th, 2018, one of the investigation teams in France recorded a video and then sent back and live streamed with a YouTuber at the time. Live stream that was on July 17th, but the recording right now you can still find it. You can still see it on Miles Guo's channel on YouTube, and released on July 24th, 2018. If you search July 24th, 2018, you will see this YouTube live stream about 17-18 minutes long. But a little bit background. So Miles, after the Wang Jian's death, the news break out. Miles immediately assembled 6 separate investigation teams, and he has sent those investigative province to investigate. And those teams are comprised of professional members. There were former police, like from NYPD, New York Police Department, and there were former FBI staff, and also the rest of them are professional investigators. They do investigation for living. Okay, so and this is just one of the materials sent back by the very first team. They recorded this on July 17th, and the lady on the picture in the middle is Kailing. She is multilingual, so she speaks Chinese, she speaks English, she probably also speaks French, I can't remember. She speaks multiple languages. So in the video, you will find she is actually talking in Chinese, and she acts as interpreter in helping Tony and Frank. These two gentlemen stand beside him to translate from English to Chinese, because the YouTube was for Chinese audiences. So we will play. Let's play the very first video to answer the first question of what happened on July 3rd. KK, please roll the tape.
Tony,
Thank you.
what happened on July 3rd?
Well, according to reports by the police who were interviewed by some media types in the area, a gentleman was looking to take a photo near the wall, and attempted to climb up onto the wall. At that time, fell and was injured severely. Firemen as well as police officers responded with the ambulance team to render aid. They attempted to keep the gentleman alive, but were completely unable to, and he passed away at the scene here, down on the other side of the wall, which is approximately a 12-meter drop. Due to the fact that he passed away here at the scene, he wasn't taken to a hospital. He was removed directly to the morgue nearby.
Okay, so thank you, KK, for the video. Nicole, you heard it as well. Let's go to the slide number 8. So we kind of, as we discussed what he shared with us. So I heard, so Tony said, according to the police and media reports. So basically, this is not their investigation. So they're telling us what they find from the local area after the, immediate investigation from the official sources, right? So Nico, do you want to go through the key information on the slides number 8?
Oh, hello. Do you want me to repeat what what Tony just said, or just carry?
Yeah. What did you hear? What did you hear he say?
He said Wang Jian, basically he tried to take a photo and he climbed the wall, and basically I think he stood on the wall behind them, and then he fell. And then the thing is, the policeman, the ambulance, they they replied, but I think they did not send him to the hospital, right? They sent him to the funeral parlor, and instead. And so I think people all will feel, if someone just got injured, and no matter how injured they are, even they don't really have they can't really breathe, and they don't have any symptom of being alive, they still, the first place you are sending them to is not the funeral parlor, it should be the hospital. That is the first thing. And the other thing is, first of all, climbing on that wall, Wang Jian, he's only so much money, the assets, and he's a rich man. He's got his security group, okay, and they can just let him stand on there to fail. That's another kind of question. And yeah, so that is the questions I will raise. Yeah, can't hear you. Oh, okay. Maybe I will just take over. Rachel, we can't hear you. Can you check your mic? Okay, so I think are we going to move on to the next video? Should we try to move on to the next video, KK, and then maybe Rachel can check her microphone? Yeah.
What do you think about the death site?
Well, here where the death site is, it's basically a wall. If you can see the texture of the wall, it's very broken up and loose. The floor is loose gravel. It seems to be approximately 3 feet high. It's not level ground. It doesn't seem like it should be a location where someone would get up on, or nor should anybody be on top of. There are many vantage points here around the surrounding of the church. this is not the most desirable location to maybe take a photo or to get up on. So the wall, again, as you can see, very loose, very unsafe, very broken up. So the wall is not ideally the best location to be near.
好的，okay. So I think after this video and saying, I think the second gentleman, Frank, he mentioned the wall is loose and unsafe. So, and I think the thing is, before we climb onto a wall, we definitely will check the wall, the surface, everything. If it feels loose, and I don't really think anybody will try to take the risk and to stand on that wall, not even to mention if it's like 10 or 12 feet high from the level ground. So I don't really think anybody will do that, and not leveled, and so it's kind of not flat. No one should be on top of the wall. Totally agree, and not the most desirable location to take photos. Definitely, I think he did not mention about the view there. Actually, I think if you remember the photo we showed you from previous, actually also we can find out they're actually the reporter or the mainstream media, they said, and he tried to take photos of lavender because in Provence, lavender is very famous. But actually, there's no lavender and there's no view behind the church. And normally, behind the church, actually, there is the tombs. If you live in the West, you probably visited the church or the chapels. You will see actually behind the church, they normally are just the tombs. So there's no view. Yes. And KK, should we play the third video?
What did you take away from the conversation with the police?
After speaking with the local authorities and law enforcement personnel, we've determined that it doesn't seem like it's an ideal location for anyone to really be, especially up on the wall. We've gotten numerous stories from many interviews we conducted in the neighborhood. After speaking with the fire department, the police, and local patrons, we've established that they haven't really determined what they feel the story is. According to us, like we said, it doesn't make sense to us why anybody would be, one, up on this location, or two, on the wall. Again, there are several vantage points around the church. There are locations set up where you're...
Okay, sorry. They suddenly cannot hear my voice, so I don't know why, because everything appeared to be normal in front of me, so I had to restart my computer and rejoin the show. Sorry. So I understand that we were in the middle of a video, but we wanted to go back to question number 1, what happened on July 3rd, and we watched that video, Nicole. So can we go back to the I think that's where we left. That's where I left at slides number 8. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so apologize for our audiences. I don't know what happened, but technical glitches always do happen. Find a way. So we heard the gentleman, and his name is Tony, and he mentioned a couple of facts here, but not the investigation team actually talking to witness. He basically just rephrased what the police and media reports has said, and the media police report has been quite consistent in terms of their stories. At least I would say quite. But later on we'll show you it's not exactly quite, but they're pretty much they're the same. They say they're taking photos, they're attempted to climb on the wall. Later on we will show you the testimonies from the witnesses, and they are all over the place. Some people say, yeah, he tried once, he failed. He attempted first time, he failed. And then some people say he attempted twice. The second time he successfully climbed on the wall, and then some people say the third time he climbed over the wall and basically fell accidentally. So the witness's testimony is all over the place. And then fell and injured severely. This is what the beauty of this confirmed. What this report from police and media confirmed one thing is Wang Jian did not die immediately, right? He injured severely. So there is a window of a time that he's alive. and the people around him was trying to rescue him. But what, according to the media and police saying, that firemen and police arrived to render aid, and they trying to revive him or keep him alive, but they were not able to do that. So that means he was declared dead on the scene, right, Nicole? If we hear right, if the media and police reporter was right, he died at the scene, correct? And he was hence removed to a morgue. So you're right. You picked on a very subtle thing. Usually we don't send people to morgue. We send people to hospital, even though this person seems already dead, because we need a medical experts to pronounce dead, right? So usually the first responder team or whatever, whoever come over, police, their procedure is sending people to the hospital, right? But here it's very interesting. They removed it to the morgue nearby. Okay, we have to remember this. This is morgue nearby, but later on, the evidence shows that they didn't move the body to the morgue nearby. They actually forego the nearby morgue. They moved the body to another morgue that is 2 hours away from the site. Okay, so this is for later on evidence, but here, July 17th, the first investigation team sent by Miles School talked to the or just arrived not long ago, and then they talked to people around, and they talked to police and media reports. They find this is the case. Okay, and then let's take a look at the second question. The second question they answered in this video is, what do you think about the death side? The lady Kailing asked this question to Tony. So did we play that video already, or we didn't? The second.
We have played already.
Oh, we've played already. Okay. So is that the one that I cut it off when I came along, or is it played completely?
It is played completely. Yeah.
Okay, then we don't have to play again. So, so that video, the second one that answered by Tony, so he described the physical, the wall, the low wall, how and then we probably see the video. Like if I recall correctly, if my memory serves me right, I remember that the wall looked kind of broken, like broken up. It's looked like a very loose. And the surface, the surface of that wall is not flat, it's not leveled, it's like up and down. I wouldn't think anybody in their right mind would climb onto it and stand on it and to take a photo. And if you look at the back, there's really nothing to see. There's all like just a green, like it's just a green fields or green hills. Am I right, Nicole? Did I remember right? Because I didn't see that video.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. And I just mentioned about this. I said probably teenagers, and they want to take some adventure. They might stand on that. But anyone who wants to stand on that wall, they will probably touch the wall, right? If they can feel it's loose.
Yeah.
And I don't really think a billionaire and someone who's in their 50s will try to take that risk, stand on that, and to take photos. And there's no view. Exactly. There's no more information. Yeah.
And also, you caught a very good point. Previously, before I was cut off by the internet connection, you mentioned like he was not alone. Like he was actually accompanied by 4 people. 3 of them are his bodyguards. These are trained bodyguards. Like they were registered, with the National Security or something, Chinese Public Security Bureau or something. That they were bodyguards. They were they're multi-roles, right? They play like a secretary and bodyguards, like 3 of them, 3 men. And there's one lady, and later on we'll show you pictures in our later on show. And she's an interpreter, right? She interpreted French to Chinese. And vice versa, Chinese to French. So these are bodyguards. Like to be a professional bodyguard, that means you would have to protect your I should say boss in this case. You would protect him, right? You would assessing, the place whether it's safe or not, before he's attempting to climb on it at least, right? That's the job of a bodyguard that that you're supposed to do. But in this case, they didn't do anything. Right? They just basically one of the bodyguards say that he attempted to jump, multiple times, and the second time or third time he fell, right? And we don't know what's on the other side of the wall. That's his testimony. That's strange. That is Absolutely strange. So then we go to the next question. The next question they answered is, they asked also, what did you take away from the conversation with the police? And let's take a look at that video. That was the answered by Frank as well. So
What did you take away from the conversation with the police?
After speaking with the local authorities and law enforcement personnel, we've determined that it doesn't seem like it's an ideal location for anyone to really be, especially up on the wall. We've gotten numerous stories from many interviews we conducted in the neighborhood. After speaking with the fire department, the police, and local patrons, we've established that they haven't really determined what they feel the story is. According to us, like we said, it doesn't make sense to us why anybody would be, one, up on this location, or two, on the wall. Again, there are several vantage points around the church. There are locations set up where you are to take photos. This location is not one of those. One being the ground, two, the wall, the height of the wall, and three, again, it's just not the best location for a photo.
Okay, so thank you, KK Nicole. So any comment on that video, on that answer?
I think it's the first is this the captain of the firemen. He just was asked questions and he just said they're being controlled by Chinese government, and so the Chinese government, the CCP, basically they came and took all the do not allow them to share any kind of things or any information. So he didn't really say much. However, when he was shown the photo of Wang Jian, he definitely recognized Wang Jian. So that tells he knows the truth, but he can't really say much. And why is that? I think Mao Guo in his broadcasting again just saying France is very corrupted and has totally been controlled by the CCP. So I think we can see a lot of that in Wang Jian's case, I think. And also they said the policemen, the local people, they're very afraid. And like the local...
I don't think he said that though. Oh. Did he? Did he say that in that clip? Maybe I missed it. I think that's the next Kai Ling said that. It's in the last question. I think in the questions 3, we're on question 3. What did you take away from the conversation from the police?
Oh, I'm very sorry because I was not able to really watch the video. Sorry, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I didn't know you couldn't listen to the video when we playing, but that's okay. So I think from this clip, because we will get down to what Nicole just shared with you, that's the 4th question. So the 3rd question, it doesn't seem an ideal location, absolutely. And as we all can see from the video that playing, there's really nothing. It's not the perfect place for taking a panoramic view of the lavender field, right? Because they're very famous for that. And in this particular clip, Frank mentioned there are other advantage points, and particularly set up by the local tourist people, like sightseeing spots that was deliberately chosen for tourists around the church for photo taking. They were offer much better angle and much better scenery, but this place is like it's not popular, it's not attractive, it's not popular, it's not ideal location for anyone to be, and let alone they've mentioned they were there at the afternoon at 4 p.m. when their son. But Kai Ling early on in the video mentioned this place would be really dark and cold in the morning because there's no sun. It's all covered, right? It's all covered. There's no sun really. And when Wang Jian was there at 10:30, 10:40ish, right? So it was in the morning. So that place should have nobody. That's why they can make if they wanted to murder him, that's probably the best murder theme because no one is around, right? Because nobody is going there. It's not a great location, and especially on the wall. Why would people, climb the wall? And then this particularly important that Frank shared is, it seems when they're talking to all those people, it seems that the police they have not determined the story is. They don't know because there is too many contradictory, too many information does not line up. But what happened is on July 4th, the world media has already declared, Wang Jian's death is accidental. The police has already told them it's accidental death, but in reality, that was in July 17th when the first team on the ground talking to those local people. It seems there's a lot stories does not add up. So they developed a feeling or judgment at the time the local police have not determined what the story should be or is. But the whole world has already know that Wang Jian has died of accidental death. That's something strange. And then, anyway, in the short clip video, it just say it does not make sense. You know, in a person in a right mind, you would be at that location at that time. It does not make sense for any person to be on the wall. Okay, so the story that the media are trying to paint to tell us that he's trying to take a photo, that's why he attempted to stand on the wall, but fell accidentally off the wall. That's really bizarre. So now we go to the question number 4, and this is where, Nicole, I think you, because as I said, Kylie, the lady in the video, she's also did a lot of a commentary. She shared a lot of information, but she only shared in Chinese. So this is the part that we want, Nicole, maybe you can help us to. We will not play that video because it's in Chinese. So the audiences will not understand. So we would just kind of capture the key points of what she said, and if Nicole you can share with us would be great. And this is basically answer the question is what did we learn, the first investigative team learned through these days of investigation. So Nicole.
Basically, I think the whole village, the people was being threatened and not to share any of the information they know. Like the captain of the fireman group, and he was asked questions, and he told them and saying, and they are being controlled by the CCP, and the CCP they send people coming here to order them to not share any information and any photos. Yes. So, but when he was shown Wang Jian's photo, and he's 100% can recognize that is Wang Jian. He knows him, and you can tell. And the other thing is, they said the police and the local people are very afraid. Yes, and so because the thing is, they try to ask the local people, and some people really might not know something, but they said like, do you know what happened here? And then their answer will be, I'm not here. And they ask what happened here? They say, I'm not there. So they just quickly try to say, I'm not there. Please don't ask me anything. I don't know anything. But they did not directly answer the question. Shows their and yes, and then I think when they ask very common and simple questions, they all said there's no way to say that because they were being controlled. And I think from Mouse Sports Broadcasting, and he once and again he again just mentioned that France is very corrupted and has totally been controlled by the CCP, as I said before. And I think really we can see a lot in Wang Jian's case. Yes.
So yes, you're right. So France, maybe there are people has been compromised or corrupted by the CCP, but France is not alone. So let's go to PPTV 12. This has raised a huge question. Okay, so these are the English media reporting on Wang Jian's death. And there are centered, basically you can group them into 2 groups. One group is immediately blasted out the information about the accidental of Wang Jian's death on July 4th, 2018, which is 1 day after the actual death. But the other group is the information published on January 31st. I think one is on February 1st, regarding to dismiss a claim by a Liberation, a French newspaper, claiming that Wang Jian's death is a suicide. Okay, so they quickly come out and dismiss that claim of suicide and restored the previous story reported on July 4th, 2018. Okay, so this is pretty much all Western media has been reporting specifically on Wang Jian's death. And it's very strange. The reason why I'm saying that is because as we reviewed who Wang Jian is at the beginning, there's a slide, and I think it's slide number I think it's slide number 6, right? We talk about it. He is an American green card holder. He died in France. His assets, his family-owned assets, houses, everything, it's in New York, in Seattle, okay? And HNA, who he was a chairman of, that it was a international conglomerate, and most of assets of the company also located in the United States. For example, they own Hilton, 25% of the stake of the Hilton, the largest hotel chain in the world. They own Deutsche Bank, at that time, 10%, 9.9% of Deutsche Bank, the largest bank in the world. And they own tons of them, Ingram Micro, the chips making $6 billion deal in the United States, you name it. So why the US media does not, seems like there's no interest for them to report on Wang Jian's death or even dig into it, particularly when Miles Guo and whistleblowing movement on the whistleblower platform bloated out. There are so many suspicions and points throughout his death. Like the whole world, feel like silent on this. Feel like they're really, really cold on this. But this is not what a journalist, is supposed to be. Journalism and news reporting in the United States and European that we see. This should be the sensational story that all the news media wants to report on and dig more. Just because in 2017, there is a huge media cry about who really owns the HNA. The same thing should happen here, but really you don't see much poking, you don't see much reporting at all. So Nicole, how do you make sense of that?
I think I'm totally with you. I think it's interesting. If any foreigner, and not even to say he's a USA resident, died in France, and I think the newspaper, the media will report it. Not even to say someone who's that famous, HNA, Wang Jian, definitely the media should report that his case, but no sound, no one's reporting it. And then the thing is, I think those the media's on the left, they quickly report, just made announcement and just about his death, and it's just like they want to quickly wrap the case. They just want to quickly wrap the case without any further kind of investigation. And like I think you mentioned a word very well. It's like procedure. And I think from if you look into Wang Jian's case, you will see nobody's following any procedure. There's no procedure at all. They just want it. And in 6 months' time, and the liberation media started to make the sound for Wang Jian, and but that is 6 months after. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where we're gonna get to is the big question. The answer to that is actually Miles Guo has been disclosed this for 5 years. Is trying to tell the Western world that the CCP is everywhere. That permeates the Western system throughout, judicial system, throughout diplomacy, throughout information technology, throughout, you name it, military, everywhere. They're everywhere. And media is one of their territory that they have a firm grip on. Throughout this legal cases that we have, in our previous earlier on episodes, we told you, how those people, how PAX, the plaintiff, in Miles's case, that using those that's sold by the CCP to hurt Miles, because the CCP has been able to control a lot of media through their BGY plan, through the bribery, through all those under the tables deals that people don't know. So the media is followed. So they're scared, just like the police, just like they talk to the local people, they all scared. They're covered. They're covering something. Okay. That in the previous video that we didn't show you the video because Kylin, the lady is saying Chinese, but she mentioned when the witness talking to them, they would tremble. They were trembling, like they trembled when they actually answered the question to those investigative teams. Why are they so fearful? It's scary. It's really scary, and we will get onto it. You will understand why people are scared. And those media are scared. They're quiet. They're so silent on these things, and nobody is talking. Nobody wanted digging and poking, because it feels like if somebody is poking and digging, they're gonna serendipitously find a a corruption that they will regret their whole life. But let's see the next slides, on slides number 13. And we will get down to this. We will get down to the answer to this, because Miles later on shared it. So we will share with you maybe in the next episode. So on slide number 13, this is China Caixin's report. So Nicole, do you want to give a little bit introduction to Caixin? I know you've done some research about Caixin, and who is the chief editor and president of Caixin?
Okay, Caixin. Okay, I think it's the CCP's propaganda media, Caixin, and I think in last show, I think when Rachel is introducing the economic weekly, and you said who's the audience, who is reading the magazine, and I think for Caixin, and it is a publisher, and I think the important person is Hu Shuli, the founder and publisher is Hu Shuli, and Hu Shuli actually has very close relationship with Wang Qishan. So I think they're kind of like lovers, and so you can imagine so he
they're insiders.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at the 13. So 13 Caixin report. This is a July 6th. So Caixin is a Chinese media, but they also have an English version. So this is an English report for Caixin Global. So July 6th, Caixin said about Wang Jian's death. He said, accidentally fell. Okay, that checked out. That's the same with the local police and local media, other reports. From a height more than 10 meters, passed out on the spot, and was immediately sent to the hospital for rescue. Okay, here it differed, right? We remember when Tony repeat what the police and media reports say, that they say they died, they severely injured, and the first aid and firemen arrived and to try to try to save him, but they couldn't. They announced him dead at the scene, and then he's being sent to the morgue, right? That's a story that by the police and local media reports. But here in Chinese, Caixin's report, they're differed. The two version, this version say that he's sent to the hospital for rescue, okay? But the reality is he never was sent in hospital. Okay, he'd been directly shipped to, the morgue. And then during the rescue process, Wang only said to the doctor that my foot hurts, but he couldn't be rescued after that. Okay, so where did the story come from when Caixin reported this? And this is a very good question. We wanted to put a question mark here, and we will answer it in our next episode as well. Why did Caixin come up with a completely different version of story than the English news media? What's going on here? Did somebody make a blunder? Was this a mistake or intended to be? Okay, so we will give our version of assessment based on Miles's whistleblowing movement, whistleblowing activities and information we collected. We will mention this to the next episode. But here, the next slide, number 14, about Hu Shuli. I want to add a little bit about Hu Shuli, what Nicole just mentioned. Nicole said Hu Shuli probably is a girlfriend of Wang. Is absolutely I wouldn't say girlfriend, because they're just probably just have sexual relationships. Whether they have more than that, I don't know. But they are. She is one of the women that Wang is having sexual relationship with, and she, on the left, I put a little bit her achievement on the left. Okay, just let's take a look at her impressive achievements of this lady, middle-aged lady now, Hu Shuli. She was, in 2006, China's most powerful commentator by the Financial Times. And the Wall Street Journal cite Hu Shuli as one of the Asia's 10 women to watch in 2006. Who received the Lois Lyons Awards for conscious and integrity in journalism from the Neiman Foundation at Harvard University. That's 2007. And she's also the top 100 influential people by Time Magazine 2011. She is also one of the world's greatest leader by Fortune Magazine 2017. So, in a modern society, in a world, when we read somebody's bio that have so much attached to it, what's your first impression if you don't know this person, Nicole?
I think I basically will highlight all these kind of like Financial Times, Wall Street. I think they're just deeply being bribed, and that I think she just bought all these names for herself, basically use money. That's my first impression.
But if you don't know, like she is, if you just met this woman, you're reading this bio, you don't know who she is, you probably would be impressed, would you?
Yes.
You would say, wow, like, this is quite a woman. I really want to meet her. I want to talk to her. She seems like very intelligent. She must have something that the world's loved. Right? But that's unfortunately that this is a world that we live in. People are, hypocrites. They have a fake persona on the surface. And we have been living in deception and lies for so long until one man came along out of nowhere, I guess in 2017, January 26th. Of course, now we know where he come from, but at that time, right? It was surprisingly, in a way. I put a post, a Getter post that Miles did this year, 2020 on August 14, that basically, again, reviewed who she is, who Hu Shuli really is. So my school said on August 14th, Hu Shuli, comma, and the other two, Bruno Wu and Yang Lan, has been defaming my school since 2014 and 2015. They are the representatives of Communist Party's Ministry of State Security, Second Intelligence Department of PLA General Staff Headquarters, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, and the so-called national regime of the CCP. Okay, so this is the reality. So we're living in a world that all those powerful, all those famous celebrities, whether they are politicians or whether they are journalists who are well celebrated and well, awarded, basically are doing the dirty things for a totalitarian regime, which we regard them as transnational crime organizations. So what does it make Hu Shuli to be? Like, he is a criminal. He is a compliance of a criminal. He is in a crime syndicate. So that's the reality of the world. That's the sad part of the world that we're living in. That's why with no truth, we don't know what's going on. But because thanks to Miles Guo, now we know who they really are. And now we start looking and digging and asking questions. And on November 20th, 2018, Miles and Stephen Bannon held a press conference to basically officially launch the investigation into the death of Wang Jian. At the same day, Miles Guo pledged $100 million to establish a Rule of Law Foundation and Rule of Law Society, a true charitable organization, okay, in New York. And Nicole, I know you know more about it. Do you want to share with us what that organization is doing and what they do?
Okay, the vision of the Rules of Law Foundation is to permit the people of China to live under a national system based on the rule of law. And because obviously there's no law at the moment, independent of the political system of the People's Republic of China. And the mission of Rules of Law Foundation is to expose corruption, obstruction, illegality, brutality, forced imprisonment, excessive sentencing, harassment, and inhumanity pervasive in the political, legal, business, and financial system of China.
families, victims like Wang Jian's family. So, so we're pretty much, running out of time. So I want to leave it to the last slides of the show. And this is the topic that in our next slides. So in our next slide, we will answer a number of questions. One of them is why Wang Jian had to die. And the second is, was a mistake that Caixin made a blunder? Was Caixin made a blunder by reporting that Wang Jian was sent to hospital instead of morgue? Why the contradictory between all those stories? So we will try to explain that to you in our next episode. And our next episode is on Friday, this Friday at 1 p.m. New York time. So, Nicole, do you have anything to add before we say goodbye to the audiences?
I think let's review the more about Wang Jian's death in our next show, and hopefully you all can come and join us. Yep.
Okay, great, awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you, KK, and thank you for our audience, your time, and joining us at the show. So we see you next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now to HNA, this conglomerate again facing further scrutiny after a Swiss regulator ruled that it provided false information. We're joined here on set, Prudence Ho, she's Bloomberg News' conglomerates reporter. And Prudence, this has to do with that Gateway Group deal some time ago. I'm wondering why it's coming up now.
Yeah, so the deal was complete, but the Swiss takeover board want to know why. I mean, HNA has significant change in their ownership just within a year. So because last year in the Gates Group prospectus, it didn't show up any names of executive in their ownership. But this year, the company said 12 executives, including the CEO Adam Tan and co-chairman Wang Jian and Chen Feng, are the shareholders. So that's why the Swiss regulators want to find out why there's such a big change just within a couple of months.
So what's the impact now on HNA? What do they face?
So they said that the deal is still valid, so that's nothing really major there. But of course, I mean, they failed to disclose such kind of major information to the Gates Group shareholders because in the prospectus last year, the top two shareholders, one is Indian businessman and the other one is a Nitalone Chinese guy. They said they were the largest shareholders, but it turned out these two guys were just the trustees to hold the shares for the executive. So in a nutshell, these two guys were not the real shareholders. They just hold the shares for the others. So apparently, I mean, the executive failed to disclose such information.
Yeah, I mean, there were other beneficiary owners of the show. Funny stuff here. Right, now, so apart from these regulators in Switzerland, have they attracted more regulators?
Yeah, so
the attention of, rather.
Yeah, so they announced another deal, like hedge fund firm Skybridge early this year. So, but we haven't really heard any kind of update on this deal. So this deal is right now in the hands of CFIUS. So it's obviously is kind of under closely watched. I mean, in the government officials.
In terms of HNA liquidity health,